Teacher talking sports, and it's never too early to talk fantasy football. This is talking about the 2022 NFL regular season, the fantasy football. We're going to look at some of the key free agents that are names that should be known for fantasy purposes. These guys may have had great seasons for their fantasy owners, but there's the opportunity to perhaps go to a new home next season. Will they still have that same success? I'll name some other guys too who may not have had that success this year, but potentially could play a larger role in the free agent market by signing to a team that's a better fit for them. So we're going to look at 10 free agent running backs, and I'll say a brief word about all of them. All these players are unrestricted free agents once the Super Bowl is over. Let's get into it. I'll be naming an alphabetical order by last name. Let's start with James Conner, 27 years old. The age I'm naming is the age they'll be when the 2022 regular season starts. So 27 years old. Last season, found the end zone quite a bit. 15 rushing touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns, had 1,127 total yards. Amazingly, 39 targets, caught 37 of those balls. What an outstanding percentage. He has yet to play a full season, though, in his 5 years in the league. Next, we got his teammate from this year, Chase Edmonds, will be 26. This past year, had 592 rushing yards, splitting time with Connor. On 5.1 yards a carry, he's averaged 4.9 yards a carry over his last 3 seasons, and has also caught 96 balls over the last 2. Leonard Fournette, what a season it was for Fournette with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He will be 27 when the next season starts. Career best 4.5 yards a carry this year. 69 receptions for Fournette in just 14 games. Had at least 3 receptions in every game but one this year. Leonard Fournette was awesome for his fantasy owners this year. Next, Melvin Gordon. My guess he's going to be gone since they have Javonte Williams. They mostly split time this past season. Gordon will be 29. Had 918 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns, again splitting time. And he has at least 8 rushing touchdowns in each of his last 6 seasons. Here we got Ronald Jones. Jones played less of a role this year because of the emergence of Fournette, but still 25 years old. In 2020, did run for 978 yards and 7 touchdowns on 5.1 yards per carry, so has proven to be a productive back. Has 17 rushing touchdowns over the last 3 years. Marlon Mack, kind of a forgotten man. It was just in 2019 when he ran for 1,091 yards and 8 touchdowns in 14 games. He tore his Achilles in the season opener in 2020 and didn't get to play again. And with Jonathan Taylor possibly being the best back in the league now, he had very little of a role this past year. Nyheim Hines was the third down back. Marlon Mack possibly could get back to being a bell cow back. Still relatively young. Next, we got Sony Michel. He will be 27 years old in his last 6 regular season games this year. Once Darrell Henderson went down, he had 540 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. In 2020, he averaged 5.7 yards per carry in his 79 attempts while with the New England Patriots. Cordarrelle Patterson, the oldest guy on this list, but is coming off his best season. He will be 31 years old. This past year, what a find for those who picked him up off waivers, because highly unlikely he was drafted in most leagues. 618 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, also adding 52 catches for 548 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, it's probably not all that likely that he could repeat those numbers, especially on a new team, but he could still provide a large role for those that are in PPR leagues. Also, Marlon Mack will be 26 when the season begins. I realize I didn't say that. Rashad Penny, what an end to the season it was for the soon-to-be 26-year-old. Ran for 671 yards and 6 touchdowns in the last 5 games of the regular season. Just what a outstanding performance in the year. If you picked him up right before fantasy playoffs, he really might have won you a fantasy championship. Penny's problem's always been health. He's only appeared in 37 of a possible 65 games since being drafted in the first round in 2018. And the last guy, Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams played a larger role with Clyde Edwards-Helaire missing a bunch of games this season. Williams will be 27 at the start of next year. He had 8 touchdowns total this past season, 6 rushing, 2 receiving. Also caught 47 balls out of the backfield. Darrell Williams was quite productive when thrust into a larger role, and is still doing his part as the Kansas City Chiefs are currently in the AFC Championship game. So which of these free agent backs are you most excited to see where they sign? Which ones do you hope stay with their team from the 2021 season? Or which would you like to see join a new team and hopefully have a larger role? Let me know in the comments. Tomorrow, we'll take a look at 10 free agent wide receivers who will be names to watch for fantasy football players. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.